Just how bad is the stock market crash of 2022 so far? The short answer is we've seen worse. But let's look at the underlying data so that you can draw your own informed conclusion. We're going to go through a little exercise here, which is what would have happened if I had invested $1,000 just before the market crashed in the S&P 500. And just to make sure everyone's on the same page here, the S&P 500 represents the performance of the top 500 largest listed US companies. So let's look at this chart we have on screen. On the y-axis, I have here the profit and loss. And on the x-axis, I have trading days. So just remember, for trading days, we only trade on weekdays. And since there are 4 weeks a month, there are only 20 trading days per month. So now, this is what would have happened if I invested $1,000 on the 1st of January 2022. We can see here the low point is roughly losing $180, but we've currently ended on $127. But how do we know if this is bad or not? And the way we're going to do that is to benchmark this against other market crashes. So let's take a look at the market crash of 2020 due to COVID. So now the blue line I have on screen here represents what would have happened if I invested $1,000 during COVID. So we can see here, obviously on day 0, we have $0 of losses, but by day 20, within the first month, you would have already lost to $335. But what we can see here, since then though, the market rapidly recovered, and roughly by day 120 or 6 months, you would have already had all your money back. So far, although the market hasn't crashed as hard as COVID, it has been on a lower, steady decline. And so to bring this into perspective, let's bring another scenario in. This is the 2008 crash due to the GFC. So now the red line I have on the screen here is what would have happened if I invested $1,000 on the 29th of September 2008, which is exactly when the GFC happened. So you can see the red line had a much quicker descent down to the low point of $380 losses, which is much lower than what we have now. The market also didn't recover as fast as it did with COVID, and you'd only have your money back roughly by the end of 1 year. So 251 days here is roughly how many trading days there are in a year. So how bad was 2022? Well, as you can see here, we've seen worse. The low of COVID was much lower, and the low of GFC is also quite low. So this chart should provide you the context to understand exactly how bad the market has done in this year. I'm not trying to make a prediction that the stock prices are going to fall as low or further than the previous crashes, but this is just a helpful position to be in. And remember, this is only what applies to the S&P 500.